viewers, you are welcome to PSI Distance Learning Program. This is biology based on the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination Syllabus. And this entails, 1, the concept of living organisms. 2, external and internal structures of living organisms. 3, the functioning of organisms. 4, the interactions between living organisms and their community. 5, inheritance of characteristics of organisms from their parents. And 6, variations and the organization of organisms into groups based on their common characteristics. My name is Telemakus Osai, and with me here are students from the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Legon. Our first lesson in biology is Introduction to Biology. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to, 1, define the term biology. 2, name some of the branches of biology. 3, outline and apply the scientific method. 4, state the reasons why biology is learned in schools. Right. Now, students, why do we think we study biology or study living things? We study living things to obtain food and shelter. We also study living things to understand nature and whatever is around us. Now, with this background of studying living things for food, shelter, and also understanding our environment, let's try to define biology. What is biology? Biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of living things and how they interact with their surroundings. Again, let me repeat. Biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of living things and how they interact with their surroundings. What did I say biology was? Yes, Edwin?
Biology is the study of living things and how they interact with their surrounding.
Very good. Now let's look at branches of biology. Branches of biology. Biology is placed in branches based on the type of organism that is being studied. Example, 1, botany. Botany is the study of plants. So anytime you see botany, is studying plants. 2, zoology. Zoology is the study of animals. Zoo means animals. Bacteriology, the study of bacteria. Mycology, the study of fungi. And parasitology, the study of parasites. There are other ways in which we look at branches of biology, apart from the organism that is involved. We look at the structure, whether it's internal or external structure. We also look at the environment that the organism involves, and we also look at the functioning of the organism. Example, 1, morphology. This is the study of external features of living organisms or external features. For example, let's take plants. If you take a plant and you study the leaf, you study the stem, you study the roots, we are looking at morphology. 2, anatomy. In biology, we have another branch called anatomy. This is the study of internal features of a living organism. For example, man, within us are a lot of structures. So if we take these structures within us and study, we are looking at the anatomy of the organism. 3, physiology. Physiology is the study of the functioning of organisms. How you function, how the various parts function. So the functions of the organism is termed physiology. We also have ecology, another branch of science. And this deals with the study of the interactions between living organisms and their surroundings. How we relate to their surroundings. How we get our food. How we get our shelter. How we get diseases. Talking about living organisms and their environment. That is ecology, a branch of biology. Next, we have genetics. Genetics is the study of inheritance, characteristics of organisms from their parents, and variations. That is how characters are brought, are inherited, or transferred from our parents to we the offspring. Maybe color. You took color from your father, color from your mother, height from your father. This is genetics. Studying inheritance of characteristics of organisms from their parents. Right. Next, we have taxonomy. Taxonomy. This is the study of groupings of living organisms according to characteristics they share in common. That is taxonomy. Here, we can put all human beings in one group because they share a particular characteristic. We can put all plants in one group. They share a particular characteristic. Now, with this background of biology, why do we think we study biology? As we stated earlier, it is very necessary for us to study to know about our surroundings. Now, let's look at how biologists work. Scientists, you don't just get up and start working. Let's look at how biologists work. Biologists work by using what we call scientific method. Scientific method is the method by which scientists work to arrive at certain scientific facts or conclusions. We're using step-by-step method of reaching a fact or a conclusion. It involves a series of steps which rely on facts that are obtained through senses. Some of our senses are sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing, or extensions of the senses through the use of a hand lens, microscope, or electronic sensor devices, among others. Now let's look at the various steps that scientists or biologists go through. One is observation. The process of using the senses or extensions of the senses to record events. We take a critical observation of whatever is around us. Color change, smell, taste, and we deduce, we make facts, or we conclude from that. 2, we have question formulation. A person writes many questions about the observations. He evaluates the questions and keeps those that will be answered to find out whether your answer is a good one. Obtain information from the library and other researchers through communications or visitations, especially to those who have already explored the topics. Whatever you see outside you and you observe, you ask yourself questions, questions that will give you answers so that you can conclude with it. So every scientist, you see anything outside, you ask yourself a question based on that thing. And that question can be true or false. 3, we have a hypothesis. The scientist always follows hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement of a problem. This is the possible answer to explanation of the questions that account for all observed facts. It must be testable. You want to tackle, you want to investigate a problem. You state that problem, that this is that. Let's assume Mr. Sign eats too much. That is a statement. It can be true or false. We call it a hypothesis. So the scientist will base his investigation on a hypothesis and conclude after the investigation and say whether the hypothesis is true or false. 4, experimentation. After we've stated our problem, that is the hypothesis, we have to send these investigations through experiment. We call it experimentation. Experimentation involves 2 steps. We have a control experiment and we have the experiment group. A control experiment is a standard experiment that contains almost all the variables. Again, it is a non-variable or standard experiment with which the variables being investigated in an experiment can be compared. When we talk about variables here, we are talking about all the features that will help the investigation to go on. We also have the experiment group. This is the experiment which is identical to the controlled one in all respects, except one variable. The experiment group is the main experiment that you are performing. So it is having almost all the variables except the one you are investigating. At the end of the experiment, you compare the experiment group with the control group, and you just conclude your experiment. So every experiment has a control and has the main experiment that you perform. 5, we have results, a record or collection of data. Data should be collected and recorded carefully. After performing your experiment, you record whatever you got, whatever information you had, you record. Whatever observation you saw, you record. Measurement, you record. Maybe growth, you record. Maybe smell, you record, and that is the results. 6, discussion. This involves interpreting and evaluation of data. Discussion involves analyzing all the results that you obtain. You go through them and see which one is applying to the experimental values or to your hypothesis. After giving your discussion, sorting out the ones that apply to the experimental values, you give a conclusion being the last step. This determines whether the hypothesis has been proved or disproved. So conclusion will be based on the experiment, and the experiment discussion will give you a conclusion for your whole experiment. That is what we refer to as the scientific method. In science or in biology, we don't just conclude after seeing or observing something. You send the observation through discussion, then you get your conclusion. After going through all this experimental methods or the scientific method, you write your experiment using a whole experiment of investigation. And this is written in the form of aim, hypothesis, method, results, discussion, and conclusion. That is our scientific method. And this is how biologists work before they get a final conclusion or facts. Right. Now, let's look at an example. Biologists have observed that seedlings that grow under normal day and night conditions have got large green leaves, whilst those that grow under dark conditions have got small yellow leaves. From here, we are going to look at question formulations that will be based on this observation. Right. Some of the question formulations are cowpea seedlings raised in darkness different from those raised under normal day and night conditions? 2. Do cowpea seedlings raised in darkness lack some mineral salts? And 3. Do cowpea seedlings raised in dark lack the ability to manufacture the green pigment called chlorophyll? Right. So from the question formulation, we go to the hypothesis. We earlier said the hypothesis can be proved or disproved. The hypothesis here can be sunlight is necessary for formation of green pigment, chlorophyll, in plants. That is our hypothesis. So from the question formulation, we put this hypothesis down, that sunlight is necessary for formation of the green pigments, that is chlorophyll, in plants. Now let's come to the experimentation. We are going to experiment on this hypothesis and either prove it or disprove it. 1. Cowpea seedlings are raised under normal day and night conditions as a control. You know, every plant grows well when there is sunlight, and we have that 12-hour day and night period. So this is a control experiment. We have other cowpea seedlings, again, raised in darkness as the experimental group. Now, all the seedlings are raised in the same type of soil so that there will be no variation. Again, all the seedlings are watered daily and with the same quantity of water. The growth of the seedlings are observed for 2 weeks. Now, observation, that is what we are expecting. Observation, or what we see using our senses. This can be sense of sight. Now, observation. Seedlings raised under normal day and night conditions have large green leaves. We observe it from the experiment. Those raised in darkness have small yellow leaves. We come to the conclusion. We are going to look at the observation and conclude. Let's look at this question. How might a scientific approach to life change how you choose your clothing or recreational activities or the kind of car you buy? How can the scientific method improve upon it or help you to decide? 1. It will let one think of A, durability of clothes or car that one buys. B, comfortability. Whatever you buy, you make sure you feel the comfort is there in the condition before you buy. 3, cost effectiveness. 4, whether recreation will be joyful and peaceful, which are needed for longer life. Right. Now, let's look at how the scientific method or skill helps us in our development. How does it help us? Why should the system that biologists follow be considered very important in our daily lives, in our development? 1, if you're able to go through it, it helps you to plan your life. You begin the day and you plan whatever you have to do for the day, up to what time. So you plan the day. 2, it makes you very observant. You move from the house to your workplace, to your school, and you observe whatever changes that take place around you. It makes you very observant. The next, recording. Recording is done anytime an observation is done. So whatever you observe, you record and put the results there as a normal situation. And it helps you in measuring. Measuring does not only involve taking a ruler or an object, but you measure and assess everything that you do so that it does not affect the total lifestyle of your being. The next is analyzing. We don't conclude any fact that we hear. We don't conclude any message. Assuming in a class, you go out and you came back with your pen missing. So you accuse the person just sitting by you that he took it. No, you are not a scientist. You have to analyze the situation. Find where you left it, what happened, when you went, how many minutes you spent there, and before you come to the conclusion and then give your verdict. That is analyzing. So we analyze. Scientific method helps us to analyze situations. Then we evaluate. We evaluate the situation. We assess the situation before giving our final conclusion. Then the last one, we talk about classification. It helps us to group things. The scientific method is talking about hypothesis, one group. Observation, one group. So you group almost everything in your house. Your bag will be there, your dressing mirror is here, your books are here. You group things so that it makes it easier for you to get hold of it and work with them. Scientific method helps us in our everyday life. Now, let's look at the importance of biology to man. Importance of biology to man. 1, knowledge of biology is required for entry into many careers and professions. We study biology not just for studying. People study to enter into careers. Example, medicine, agriculture, pharmacy, dentistry, public health, nursing, among others. These are professions that one can get himself into when he studies biology. 2, knowledge of biology through various professions has led to the current high standard of living. These days, people are very much aware of their system. They keep themselves clean and sickness is kept away. So standard of living, lifestyle has changed because of our knowledge about living organisms around us. 3, agriculture. So knowledge of agric has led to improved varieties of plants and animals with increased yields. Example, maize. Currently we have a fast breeding maize plant in the system called Obatampa. Within 3 months, they are matured. Instead of using the 6 months one, we used the 3 months one. We also have wheat, chicken, pig, and cattle with very high improved forms. Cattle with higher milk production or meat production. Again, agric has controlled insect pests, fungi, and cause and prevent diseases, and also reduce yield in plants. So knowledge of agric has brought about control of insect pests, fungi. Fungi normally brings about rot, decomposition in a system. So knowledge has made it possible for us to keep fungi away from our plant or animal products. The next point is that medicine, pharmacy, and public health have led to the control of diseases like poliomyelitis, whooping cough, measles, diphtheria, and mumps. The next point is that knowledge of biology has brought the understanding of how human body works. And this has led to the control of diseases like hepatitis B, diabetes, high blood pressure, among others. The last one, there is a better understanding of judicious or sustainable use of natural resources. Example, water, forest, and the wildlife. In industry, canning and bottling are major processes for preserving food for humans. For instance, fruits, fish, and meat are preserved, and this is done with knowledge or information about biology or the biology of organisms for preservation. If you know how long an organism will last, that is going to help you in its preservation period. Good. These are some of the importance of biology. Now let us try to recap what we've learned so far. We started by looking at the meaning of biology. We said biology is a science that studies living organisms and how they interact with their environment. We also looked at the branches of biology. We looked at examples such as botany, the study of plants, zoology, the study of animals, parasitology, the study of parasites, morphology, the study of the external features of organisms, and so on. We also looked at the scientific method of studying biology. We said the scientific method is a series of methods that one follows to determine or to get facts or conclusions about a situation. Some of the scientific methods includes the aim, the hypothesis, observation, results, method, discussion, and conclusions. These are followed and they are used to determine facts about an experiment. We also mentioned the experimental values there, or experimentation, which involves the control experiment and the experimental group. We then came to the importance of biology. We saw that biology helps a lot of people to develop careers and professions. We saw some of the careers or professions as medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, etc. We also said biology has helped some people to increase their standard of living or they have got high standard of living. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Hope to meet you again in the next lesson. Goodbye.